Imagine for a moment the precise second when your chest tightens, your throat closes, and your mind whispers, "This is too much." That moment, the one you try to avoid, the one you hide from, the one you hope nobody notices, is the exact moment your life is trying to change you. Most people run from it. Most people numb it, bury it, deny it, pretend they're fine, but deep down, you know the truth. Something is breaking open inside you. Something is being exposed. Something is demanding your attention. And here's the part no one tells you. That moment isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because when it hurts, when it really hurts, your mind sharpens, your instincts wake up, and the strongest part of you starts fighting to emerge. Pain is not there to punish you. It's there to awaken you. So before we go any further, ask yourself one question. What if the very thing you're trying to escape is actually the thing that will save you? Stay with me. You're about to see your pain in a way you never have before. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in the human experience. Most people see it as an alarm, a warning to retreat, to stop, to withdraw from whatever triggered it. But pain, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, is far more complex than that. It isn't simply a red light telling you to slam the brakes. It's a signal. It's information. It's feedback from your mind, your body, and your environment trying to communicate something vital. And the tragedy is that we often silence it before we ever learn what it's trying to say. Think about how we treat pain from the moment we're young. You fall, you scrape your knee, you're told, stop crying. You feel heart attached, you're told, get over it. You feel stress or fear, you hear, just be strong. In other words, we're trained to avoid pain, hide pain, numb pain. But no one teaches us to listen to pain. No one teaches us to interpret it. No one teaches us to recognize the intelligence behind it. Pain doesn't show up because you're weak. Pain shows up because something important is happening. It's the body's way of saying, pay attention. It's the heart's way of saying, this matters. It's the mind's way of saying, you're reaching the edges of your comfort zone. Every sensation of discomfort carries meaning. You just have to be willing to decode it. Think of physical training. When you lift weights, when you run, when you push your body, pain appears, not to stop you, but to guide you. It tells you where your muscles are growing, where your endurance is expanding, where your limits are being challenged. The resistance is what builds strength. If you never felt that burn, you would never adapt. Pain is the body's blueprint for progress. Now translate that into the emotional world. When you feel disappointed, it's because you cared. When you feel betrayed, it's because you trusted. When you feel lost, it's because you're transitioning into a new phase of life you don't fully understand yet. Those emotional signals are not flaws. They're indicators of values, relationships, priorities, and identity. They're trying to reveal something you haven't fully acknowledged, a need, a boundary, a truth, or a direction. But the moment we feel emotional pressure, we want to run, we want immediate relief, we'll distract ourselves, avoid conversations, shut down, lash out, anything to get away from the discomfort. The irony is that every time we run from that discomfort, we also run from the lesson it was trying to teach us. Pain unprocessed becomes pain repeated. Pain understood becomes wisdom earned. There's also a psychological dimension to pain that is rarely talked about, the growth edge. Human beings develop through stress, not chaotic, overwhelming stress, but challenge. When something feels hard, when it feels uncomfortable, when it pushes you beyond what you're used to, your mind is adapting. New neural pathways form, new perspectives shift, new behaviors emerge. Pain is often the doorway between who you are and who you're becoming. The reason this matters is because so many people misinterpret pain as failure. They think, if it hurts, I should stop. If it's uncomfortable, something must be wrong. If I'm struggling, it means I'm not good enough. And that belief system is what keeps people stuck. They judge themselves for feeling pain when pain was never a punishment in the first place. Imagine someone learning a new skill, say public speaking. Their heart races, their palms sweat, their voice shakes. They think that means they're not cut out for it. But that discomfort is not a sign that they should quit. It's a sign that they're stretching into unfamiliar territory. Their anxiety isn't a stop sign. It's their nervous system adjusting to exposure. If they lean into it, breathe through it, practice, and stay committed, that anxiety transforms into confidence. Pain was the catalyst. The same thing happens in relationships. Difficult conversations, vulnerability, telling the truth, setting boundaries, those things can feel incredibly uncomfortable. But that discomfort is pointing to growth. It's pointing to authenticity. It's pointing to deeper connection. If you avoid the pain, there is a specific moment in every struggle, every journey, Every dream where everything inside you whispers or sometimes screams, stop. This is too much. It's the moment when your legs feel heavy, your chest feels tight, your confidence cracks, and your mind starts offering excuses that sound almost reasonable. Take a break. Try again tomorrow. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you're not capable. That moment, the one you dread, the one you avoid, the one that feels like a breaking point, that moment is where your identity is built. Because you do not become who you are on the easy days. You become who you are in the moments you want to quit. It's easy to show up when things are smooth, when motivation is high, when your energy feels limitless. Anyone can keep going when they're full of confidence and everything is going their way. That part requires no discipline, no courage, no resilience. But life doesn't measure you on the days when everything is easy. Life measures you on the days when your spirit feels heavy, when your mind is foggy, when your heart is tired, and yet you choose to keep going. Those are the moments that carve strength into your character. Those are the moments that forge discipline into your bones. Those are the moments that separate the person you were from the person you're becoming. The world sees the results, success, confidence, achievements. But what they don't see is the private war you fight with yourself. They don't see the mornings you didn't want to get out of bed, but did anyway. They don't see the nights you stayed up trying to make sense of your failures. They don't see the fear you carried, the doubts you battled, the loneliness you endured, or the sacrifices you made behind the scenes. They don't see the moments you could have quit, but didn't. Those invisible battles are where the real transformation happens. Every time you continue despite the discomfort, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, you are telling your mind something incredibly powerful. I am capable of more than I thought. And that message rewires you. It changes the way you see yourself. It changes the way you respond to future challenges. It changes what you believe you're capable of. You begin to trust your own strength, not because someone told you that you're strong, but because you proved it to yourself. Think of any person you admire, someone you consider strong, accomplished, disciplined, successful. They didn't build that identity on the days they felt great. They built it on the days they wanted to quit, but refused to. They built it in silence, in the dark, in the moments no one applauded, no one noticed, no one was watching. They built it when they were tired, discouraged, frustrated, and uncertain. This is why discomfort is not your enemy. Struggle is not your enemy. Difficulty is not your enemy. Those moments are your training ground. They are shaping you, toughening you, refining you. They are stretching your capacity so that the version of you who emerges is not fragile or easily defeated, but steady, grounded, and resilient. When you want to quit, what you're really facing is a threshold, a line your old self has never crossed. Crossing that line means leaving behind the patterns, habits, and beliefs that have kept you comfortable but small. That's why it feels so uncomfortable. Growth always feels like resistance at first. Your mind is trying to pull you back to what feels familiar, even if familiar is not what you want. But every step you take past that resistance is a step toward becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who is no longer controlled by fear or fatigue. Think of a person lifting weights. The muscle doesn't grow in the first easy repetitions. It grows in the final rep, the one that burns, the one that shakes, the one that feels impossible. That rep is where the muscle tears so it can rebuild stronger. The same applies to you. The rep that feels the hardest, the moment that feels unbearable, is the exact moment you're growing. Even psychologically, the moments you resist quitting are the moments you create new internal standards. When you push through difficulty, your threshold for stress increases, your belief in your resilience expands, your tolerance for discomfort grows, and with that, your potential widens. You become someone who doesn't collapse under pressure, but thrives under it. And here's something important. Not quitting doesn't always mean sprinting forward. Sometimes it means standing your ground. Sometimes it means taking one small step instead of giving up entirely. Sometimes it means pausing, breathing, and then continuing. What matters? Emotional control is one of the most underestimated forms of strength a person can develop. People often think power comes from physical ability, intelligence, talent, or confidence. But none of those matter if you cannot control what happens inside your own mind. Your emotions are like internal weather storms, heat waves, sudden winds, and unexpected calm. If you don't understand those shifts, if you don't learn how to navigate them, then the world doesn't have to defeat you. You'll defeat yourself long before life even tries. What most people misunderstand is that emotional control does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't have them. It doesn't mean becoming cold, distant, or numb. Emotional control means understanding your emotions so deeply that they no longer hijack your behavior. It means you can experience anger without saying things you'll regret. You can feel fear without running away. You can feel sadness without collapsing. You can feel pressure without breaking. It's not about eliminating emotion. It's about directing it. Imagine you're in a high stress situation. Your heart is racing. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your mind starts spiraling with worst case scenarios. Your body is reacting to a perceived threat, even if the threat is only emotional: rejection, embarrassment, failure. In that moment, emotional control allows you to slow everything down. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond intelligently. Instead of letting fear choose your actions, you choose from clarity. Instead of letting panic dictate your words, you speak from strength. That is power. That is self-leadership. Most people live their lives reacting. Something upsets them and they lash out. Something scares them and they retreat. Something hurts them and they close off. Their emotions become their puppet strings. Anyone who can trigger their anger, fear, or insecurity has control over them. But a person who controls their emotional responses cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or thrown off course. They remain solid even when everything around them is chaos. Think about how many mistakes happen not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of emotional mastery. People ruin relationships because they couldn't control a moment of anger. They sabotage opportunities because they panicked. They abandon goals because discomfort overwhelmed them. They let criticism break them because they never learned how to manage the emotional sting. Emotional control is not about removing emotion. It's about ensuring your emotions don't destroy what you're trying to build. But emotional control also requires honesty. You cannot control what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't manage fear if you can't name it. You can't work through sadness if you keep pretending you're fine. You can't deal with anger if you suppress it to the point where it explodes. Self-control starts with self-awareness. It starts with being courageous enough to sit with your emotions without letting them run your life. The more familiar you become with your internal world, the less it scares you, and the more power you gain over it. There's another misconception people have. They think emotional control happens in the big moments. The arguments, the crises, the failures, the high. Adversity has a way of stripping away everything that's comfortable, predictable, and familiar. It takes the version of you that you present to the world, the confident one, the composed one, the smiling one, and it pushes past that layer into the part of you that you usually keep hidden. The part that holds your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, and your beliefs about your own worth. Most people think adversity creates character, but the truth is that adversity reveals character. It exposes what you truly believe about yourself beneath all the surface level identity you show when life is easy. When everything is going well, when your plans are working, when you feel supported and confident, it's easy to believe you're strong. It's easy to believe you're resilient. It's easy to believe you're capable. But those beliefs are untested. They're hypothetical. They're ideas you have about yourself, ideas that haven't yet been forced to prove themselves. But the moment adversity hits, the moment something breaks, fails, or falls apart, that is when you discover what you really believe. If deep down you believe you aren't good enough, adversity will bring that belief to the surface. If deep down you believe you're capable, adversity will test that belief until you're forced to prove it. When something unexpected happens, loss, failure, betrayal, disappointment, you don't just react to the situation. You react based on your internal identity. If you believe you can overcome anything, you respond with determination. If you believe you're powerless, you respond with defeat. The external event is only the trigger. The real battle is inside your perception of yourself. Think about people who crumble under pressure, not because the adversity was impossible, but because somewhere inside, they believed they weren't strong enough to handle it. They were fighting their own self. Doubt more than they were fighting the situation. Think about people who face enormous challenges but keep moving, keep fighting, keep rising again and again. Their circumstances. Hurt feels endless when you're in it. It feels permanent, heavy, overwhelming, like there's no version of you on the other side of the pain. When you're hurting, time slows down. Minutes feel like hours. Days feel like weeks. Your mind becomes a loop of questions, doubts, fears, or memories you wish you could erase. That's the nature of pain. It convinces you that it will last forever. But the truth is, hurt is temporary. No matter how deep it feels, no matter how consuming it becomes, hurt eventually softens, shifts, fades, or transforms. What does last, the part that becomes permanent, is the version of you that pain forced you to build. Most people don't realize that hurt is one of the greatest sculptors of human character. It carves you, reshapes you, deepens you. It forces you to examine your beliefs, your habits, your patterns, and your attachments. It pushes you into parts of yourself you never would have visited on your own. Pain has a way of exposing your weaknesses, but also revealing your strengths. And when you survive hurt, you don't walk out the same person who walked in. You carry new wisdom, new resilience, new clarity. That is what remains long after the hurt is gone. Think about heartbreak. In the moment, it feels like your entire world is collapsing. The person you trusted, loved, or relied on is no longer there, and the emptiness feels unbearable. You question what went wrong, what you could have done differently, whether you'll ever feel whole again. But heartache, as devastating as it feels, is temporary. As time passes, your heart learns to heal, to open again, to trust again. The pain fades, but the lessons stay. You become someone who understands boundaries more deeply, someone who knows what you deserve, someone who refuses to settle for less. You become someone who learned not from comfort, but from hurt. Think about failure. When something you worked for falls apart, the sting is sharp. You feel embarrassed, discouraged, maybe even ashamed. You wonder if you're capable, if you should try again, if you're meant for what you're chasing. But that sting doesn't last. Eventually the emotion fades, and what remains is the experience you gained, the skill you built, the discipline you learned, the perspective you earned. Failure hurts, but its teachings are permanent. It strengthens your mind for the next challenge and gives you a confidence that only comes from surviving setbacks. Even physical pain has a similar effect. Think of athletes who train until their muscles ache. The pain of effort is temporary, but the strength they gain from pushing through it is lasting. The endurance, the muscle memory, the discipline, they don't disappear when the soreness fades. They stay with you. You carry them forward. The same principle applies to mental, emotional, and spiritual pain. The hurt passes. The growth stays. One of the most powerful things pain does is reveal your resilience. You never really know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. When you're in the middle of hurt, you might feel weak or broken, but surviving it shows you a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. You realize you're capable of enduring more than you imagined. You realize you can rebuild. You realize you can recover. That realization becomes part of who you are. It becomes a quiet strength you carry into every future challenge. Hurt also toughens your emotional and psychological muscles. After experiencing hardship, your threshold for adversity expands. Things that once overwhelmed you no longer shake you the same way. You develop emotional endurance, the ability to stay calm, steady, and focused even in the midst of chaos. You build mental discipline, the ability to keep going when you feel like stopping. You build courage, the willingness to step into uncertain or uncomfortable situations because you've already survived worse. Pain also has a refining effect. It strips away what's unnecessary. When you're hurting, you gain clarity about what actually matters, who supports you, what values guide you, what dreams you refuse to give up on. Pain helps you see the difference between what's superficial and what's meaningful. It removes illusions and exposes truth. It forces you to let go of what was holding you back, even if you didn't realize it at the time. That clarity becomes part of the permanent version of you, the wiser, sharper, more self-aware version. And perhaps the most profound thing about hurt is that it unlocks your empathy. Once you've known deep pain, you understand others' pain more intimately. You become more compassionate, more patient, more understanding. You develop a deeper connection with people because suffering opens the heart in a way success never could. That empathy becomes part of your permanent character. It makes you better not just for yourself, but for the people around you. So yes, hurt is temporary. It may not feel temporary when you are in the middle of it, but no emotional state is permanent. Feelings move, circumstances change, scars heal, hearts open again, minds recover, bodies rebuild. Hurt eventually dissolves. But the lessons, the resilience, the strength, the clarity, the empathy, the unshakable confidence that comes from surviving something difficult, those are the parts that stay with you. The version of you that emerges from hurt is not fragile. That version of you is grounded, aware, and resilient. That version is someone who has walked through fire and learned to rise from it. Hurt shapes you, but it does not define you. What defines you is who you choose to become because of it. You're not meant to stay wounded. You're meant to grow through your wounds. And every painful chapter you've lived through has been shaping you into a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of yourself. One that pain could touch, but could not break. In the end, everything you've gone through, every wound, every setback, every moment you almost broke, was shaping you for something greater. Not to defeat you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Pain was never the enemy. It was the sculptor, the mentor, the catalyst. And now you stand stronger, sharper, wiser because of everything you thought would destroy you. You've learned that hurt is temporary, but who you become through it is permanent. You've learned that adversity doesn't define you. It reveals you. You've learned that emotional control is not just strength, but real power. And you've learned that the moments you wanted to quit were the exact moments that built you. So as you walk forward from this moment, carry this truth. You are not fragile. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are evolving. You are rising. You are becoming. Life will hurt again because growth demands it. Challenges will come again because elevation requires it. But now you know something you didn't know before. You can endure, you can adapt, and you can overcome. You are stronger than your past. You are bigger than your pain. And you are more powerful than anything that tries to stop you. The next time it hurts, don't shrink. Don't retreat. Don't question your worth. Instead, remember who you are becoming and choose once again to rise.